And on the next stop in our tour of the Republic, I want to show you one of our most fascinating and popular attractions, the House of Culture. This house is so incredible and so culturally fulfilling that most people get their cultural needs from it simply through being in its presence, simply by osmosis. You see, our people have no such need for things like movies and entertainment. These are all capitalist, bourgeois luxuries. All we need is the House of Culture. What's in the House of Culture, you might ask? Well, that is an excellent question, comrade. And we have over 200,000 oil pictures of Lenin giving a smiling thumbs up. We have shavings from Fidel Castro's actual beard. And best of all, we have Stalin's mustache, frozen in cryogenic stasis, simply waiting to be unthawed and transplanted onto a new host. So come on down to the House of Culture, or simply just stand outside and appreciate its majesty. We guarantee you won't be disappointed. Guarantee is not a guarantee. All feelings of joy and fulfillment must be approved by the Communist Party. Greetings, comrades, and it's another year, and you know what that means. Another Soviet Republic Workers and Resources tutorial, and this is going to be the ultimate and probably final iteration to the series. Today I have created for you the tightest, the sleekest, the sexiest build for Realism Mode out there. And I think it's going to completely and utterly blow your minds. So let's start up this as we usually do. We're going to go to Eastern European medium hills, and today we're going to go to realistic and keep everything as is. The only thing we're going to change, we're going to start in 1960, and we are going to go to always day. A lot of people don't like the night cycle. They say it's hard to see things, so the people have spoken, and we shall keep it on always day. But before we jump into that, let's have a word from our sponsor, me. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the comrade here, and today I want to take some time to appear just as myself and tell you about a little project that I started with my little brother. My little brother's always wanted to get into content creation, and one of the types of videos I've always wanted to get into is cartoon reviews and commentary and that kind of stuff. So he and I teamed up on this project, and what we're doing is we are reviewing every single episode of King of the Hill that has ever existed or ever will exist. So this doesn't replace anything I'm currently doing. All the regular videos will just keep going forward as scheduled. But if you guys have any interest in the series, any interest at all in King of the Hill, both my brother and I grew up watching the series, and our dad is kind of a Hank archetype, and that's why we're so drawn to this idea. You should come and check it out. Trying to do something that's a little bit more chill and relaxed than some of my, oh my god, the world is on fire commentary. Next week's episode is going to be an absolute classic. It's episode 10 in the first season. That's Keeping Up with the Joneses. And you guys, if you're King of the Hill fans, you probably remember this one. This is the episode where Hank forces Bobby to smoke an entire carton of cigarettes after catching him smoking. So if King of the Hill is your jam, or you just want to know a little bit more about me and the kind of circumstances that I grew up in, I 100% encourage you to come over and check out Rainey Street Reviews. The link to the channel will be in the description. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program. So the first part of our build is going to be effectively the same, although we do have some pretty sizable changes. We're going to draw out our double road. This time I have a specific length in mind. We're going to go 1,200 meters, and then have it wrap around here. Going to go another 1,200 meters. And same deal with our second road. Fill and wrap around here. Okay, awesome. And next we're going to move to our construction offices. One of the big differences here is that we are axing. We used to have sort of a storage and construction area up here. We are axing that. We don't have the resources to build a luxury like that. We have to try and conserve what we have in realistic mode. We can get more money. We can borrow it, although I want to avoid that as long as possible. So I like to be pretty frugal with my resources. All right. There's our little construction area, and we're going to put all of our free construction offices in here. And then in addition to that, we're going to put a free demolition office. Hopefully we won't need it, but it will be there in case we do. I'm not going to fill it out with vehicles unless I absolutely have to. And then lastly, I'm going to put a free road depot here. That's for all our miscellaneous vehicles. And then we need a free gas station to make sure everybody can get gas. And then the very, very first vehicle I'm buying is our cistern here. Have him come in here. And he's going to go here, load up all the fuel. And then unload all the fuel here. And the next thing we're going to need before we start building is a bunch of bulldozers and excavators. So I'm going to purchase those right now. All right, and we can let those come in. It's going to go to the depot here. So we just got to wait for all of these to come out and get fueled up before we can start our next phase. We're going to buy the rest of our vehicles. So we're going to get the, we don't need the trailer, so we'll get 4 buses. Four dumpers. 4 concrete mixers. So next we're going to need open holes. And then for our last one, we need 2 tow cranes, or rather road cranes. And then 2 covered holes. And that will be everything. Great, now we can pause that and we can begin what is the most tedious part of this entire playthrough. It's going to be flattening out the topography of the areas we're going to build in. So as you can see, we've bisected this area here. Right here is going to be where most of our residential area goes. Over here, this is going to be our farm. And then on this side will be our industrial / working section. So first things first is I want to kind of bisect these a little bit. Let's send it as far as it'll go. Okay, and then we're going to grab our terrain tools here, and we're going to start off by leveling the terrain. As you can see, it doesn't cost us anything, and when we have the game paused, we can just sit back and do this as long as we want to. But the main thing for me here is that, I'm going to try and be pretty thorough here, but I'm going to focus on getting rid of the red as much as possible. You can deal with some yellow, but the red is death, so we're going to get rid of that. And this is probably going to take me 15 minutes or so, because I'm going to do every single side, this side, and this side. So I'll be back. Okay, and after way too long, I've gotten a pretty decent area here. I'm a little worried about my residential area here because we're up against the cliff. I've done my best to smooth it out, but I might have to touch it up later. But overall, this is looking pretty good. I mean, there's some rough patches, but it's certainly going to fulfill all of our needs. So first thing is first, we are going to put down our farms because these are going to be the lifeblood of this run. They're going to do pretty much everything for us. And how we put these down is going to be pretty important. The main thing I want here is to ensure that our farms can easily get grain into the grain silo, which we're going to put next door. So there's one farm. I'm going to put down the liquid storage immediately so I don't have to fiddle-faff with that later. To make it as close as I possibly can. Not really. Well, that's extremely annoying. Got to get all these growing pains out of the way initially. You know what? I'm actually going to do this farm first. And then we're immediately going to put all our liquids down. And then the next farm, we'll put it right beside it here. Yeah, these farms don't need to connect anyway. They need to connect to something much more important. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to delete this road. And you'll see why. Because this is one of the most important parts, if not the most important part of this entire playthrough, is making sure that this grain silo is adequately connected to our farms here. There we go. Okay. I just want to make it so one of my road inputs will be open. We'll have to fiddle faff with that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So you want to make sure both of your farms can attach to the grain silo. Not really. I can't even fucking see. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then we'll have one road to come down here. This is just to fuel the silo. And then what we're going to have to do is build a bridge over top these two connections. So we're going to go with the concrete bridge because it's pretty cheap and effective. So let's just... Okay, beautiful. So with this setup, we are going to be able to dump all of our grain into our massive silo. And there's a particular reason we chose this massive silo, is because we are going to have all of our industries draw their grain directly from it. One of the things we're doing with this particular playthrough is completely trying to eliminate as much hauling around of our trucks as we possibly can. So I want to feed all of my industries directly through factory connections as much as possible. One big thing to remember is that you can't daisy chain in your resources. You can only have one direct connection to another. So for example, if I were to connect these two farms together but not connect both of them to the grain silo, only one would get the grain to the grain silo. So you got to make sure both are connected. And before I let this run for a little bit so they can start constructing the farms, I am going to build our first gravel road. It's extremely important to get gravel roads up and running everywhere. Dirt roads are pretty much useless and you never want to use them unless you have to, or you just need a quick connection. We have to assign everybody to the customs house so they can grab their gear. Okay, and we also want to pump these all up to 350 so they can get to everywhere they need to go. So now we're going to put in the next important part of this build, which is our transportation system. And we are going to be using the transportation system that has the largest amount of sexual charisma out there. And you might be wondering, what is that form of transportation? Is it like a stallion or something? And to that I would say, hold your horses there, Vosh. While a stallion is a great choice, the obvious answer is the train. Allow me to demonstrate.
Thank you.
Train.
Bentley.
Train. Nothing in the world can ever match the sheer raw sexual power of a train. And with that, we're going to use trains to transport as much of our cargo as possible. So we need to set up a little train system here. We're going to need a depot first off. And then we're going to need a train construction office. And that is extremely important. Rail construction office. So we want to put this as close to the border as we possibly can. And there's this very specific reason for that. Because you want to get workers coming to and building this as fast as you possibly can. So we're going to put it right here. Whoopsie. And now we're going to line up our train system. So unfortunately, we're not going to even bother with electrified railways. We're just going to go with the concrete-based ones. So I need one rail to go here. I'm going to go here. And then the next rail is going to kind of bypass this. Come down here. Let's hope I can get this perfect. Okay, we can get to cross here. And there we go. Actually, before we finish that up, and if I need to add any more additions, I will. So before I finish this trade track, one of the things we do need to add is a fueling station. Just put a small one right here. Oops, don't want the wooden-based ones. Okay, and if for whatever reason our trains aren't able to get where they need to go, or I need to add in a new... Unfortunately, I'm not as good with trains in this game as I would like to be, but realistically, we only need a very simple track. And actually, before I forget, we will need one more component to this system. We're going to need a warehouse connected to our railway, and the reason is obvious, so that we can drag goods from our industrial area once it's finished and just put them in the resource with the train rather than having to worry about trucks. Okay, there we go. Finally got a nice little crossing here. I had to mess with my roads a little bit. Let's just make sure we can put all of them back where they're supposed to go. Okay, good. Oh, I gotta cross these before I forget. Well, there we go. We'll just have it all tie up here. And that should be good. Yeah, it's looking pretty dang good. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. So once I get the railway construction office done, I will show you what we need to do with that, because it's pretty important. Alright, so now that our railway construction office is done, let me show you how to use it, because it's a little tricky. First, we're going to need open haul in our depot. These are just some of our miscellaneous vehicles. I'm also going to need a dumper. And I'm also going to get a bus, this one with exactly 40 passengers, because that's the max amount of workers that could work in the railway office. I also cleaned up our connections here. I've brought it so everything is connected to exactly one railway track, and it's all connected on the same line. So let me show you how we're going to build our railways, because we are going to need special equipment in order to do that. And the way you get that is you have to buy it directly from the customs house. You go here to disassembled, and this is your track builder. We're going to get 2 of them because it's painfully slow to build these tracks. It's rough. It's a rough go, but we got to get started now. And once you get it done, it's there forever. So now that we have that set up, we're going to need to get resources to it. So we're going to have one bus go to the customs house and start doing its thing there. And then we're going to do the same with our covered haul and our dumper here. Oh, and before I forget, they also will need fuel here. So let's make sure we unload all of our fuel, or have a stop for our fuel truck to unload the fuel. And in addition to that, before I forget, I also like to build a free gas station out here in the farm area, and that's because you know, it helps all of our tractors and whatnot stay in tip-top shape. We're going to need gravel here, so he's going to have to load up gravel and unload the gravel. And then the open haul is going to go here, and it's going to load steel and prefabs. And then one thing I also really like to do here is actually limit the amount of steel that we can put in, and prefabs too. That should be good. It definitely uses more prefabricated panels than steel, but the main reason I do this is because steel is quite expensive. I don't want to have like 100 or even 50 tons of steel sitting in here doing nothing. that's hard to access. So I'm going to limit the amount of steel I keep in the construction office, and that should help make sure I'm not going up and over my budget. Sorry, before I forget, I actually don't want him to, my covered hall, to load up the steel and prefabs. That is, initially, I want him to go there and make sure that he is loading up the vehicles that we need. So he's going to go to the customs office, he's going to grab those track builders, he's going to put them in, he's going to go to the customs house, he's going to grab the track builders, and he's going to put them in the construction office, and then we'll be good to go. So now that our railway construction office has the amount of resources that it needs, it's now going to start actually building the railways question. As you can see, it's painfully slow. That's why we got 2, although they don't have enough workers to run 2 right now. They will in the future. So with that, I am going to show you guys how I'm going to lay out my fields, and then we'll do the construction area. So I've switched to medium fields because they're just so much easier to control, and I usually go about 2 medium fields for a big one. It's not 100% accurate, but that's what we'll do. To start off, we're going to have 14 fields per farm for a total of 28. So let us count those out right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to keep it in groups of 4 because that makes it easy to organize. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to draw a road here. Okay. That railway kind of fucked us, but yeah, I like to do 4 and then have a railway, or excuse me, and then have a road come and dissect it, and then we'll do 4 this way. Alright, so you can kind of see what I am plotting here. So that's a total of 12, and to finish up this farm, I guess we will do 2 more. Let's do 2 more right below here. Ah, shit. Don't want that. Don't want to lose any space. So 6 plus 8 is 14. That's our first field sorted out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And same thing this way. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then let's shoot 8, so we'll need 6 more. 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I have this one coming out at such a weird angle. Just redraw that, and then we'll do our last 6 here. And this will allow us to easily add in more farms in case we find our vehicles are running through what we have very quickly. So that will be 28 farms, and I'll show you a little bit about how we assign them, just to make sure you assign them evenly. And then another thing we're going to start doing, in fact, we'll do this right now, because it's very unlikely that you are going to get your farms up in the first year, so you can actually get vehicle sowing. So one thing that is going to make your farming operation a million times smoother is getting gravel roads, because those will allow covered halls to get to where they need to go much faster, and it will basically allow you to start pulling in crops at a much higher rate. So next we're going to build our industrial area, and that's part of the reason why I chose the largest grain silo. We're probably not going to fill it all the way up, but we're really going to use it because of the amount of connections that it has. We're going to fill up every single hole this little slut has and use it to build our industrial section. So let's start that now. I'll show you what it looks like. First off, we're going to have the food and alcohol factories. These will be in the center, and the reason for that being is because they are not pushing out any other goods. Whereas, for example, the fabric factory we have is going to connect here, and then beside it will be a clothing factory that is going to output its finished product to. In similar fashion, we go up here, need a livestock farm, Of course, I can't put it down because I don't have a fucking excavator. So I had to send a excavator back basically to allow me to finish building this. So now I gotta figure out the best way to do this. Let's just make sure before I do anything I can actually get a road to and from there. Good, I can. And right beside it, yes of course, will be a slaughterhouse. It is a slaughterhouse. Alright, now, last thing I'm going to do is I got to put down a bus stop here. So obviously the workers can get to where they need to go. Let me just make sure everybody can get to where they need to go. Perfect. So now we're going to have this whole industrial area. Everybody can go where they need to go. There's going to be no need for trucks to haul anything. Everything is connected. One thing I will do probably down the line is add a chemical plant up here. And that's why I've left this spot up here free. And hopefully I can get work it so our pedestrians can get there. We might have to do some creative management. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The main important buildings are all set and are ready to go. So with that, this is the core of our basic setup. We're going to get our farms started first, and this will allow us to start planting crops, and we can sell them for some extra money without actually having to bring in any workers, so we can actually make money without having to bring people in. And then obviously, once we have our setup established, we're going to build a residential area, which we'll come back and do that in a little bit. I'm going to let things play out, and I'll show you how we'll build out our residential area. And we're also going to build sort of a utilities and miscellaneous things area over here, where we're going to have our heating, dump, and maintenance. Well, I got super lucky here. I almost had to redo my entire run because I forgot that for some reason only one of these road connections actually will allow the construction vehicles to get there and start building the silo. And I was wondering why my silo isn't getting built. That's because I didn't connect the other road. So I got super lucky that I had just enough space in between these two farms, and I could worm it underneath the bridge here that I could get it done. So that is something extremely important for you guys to remember. I just realized I forgot to mention one thing when I put down my grain silo, and I almost screwed up this entire run and had to restart, is that you have to connect both sections of the road. One won't do because they come in and they do a loop-de-loop and head on out. So I got lucky because I had enough space underneath my bridge and between my two farms that I could worm out a dirt pathway here and make sure that construction could start. But you have to make sure when you put this thing down, everything's connected, that the two roadways are connected and the two farms are connected. And the only way you can really do that is to make sure that you have enough space between your two farms that you can cut a dirt road in between them. One thing I forgot to do at the start, and we'll do now with winter approaching, is put down some free technical offices, and that will allow us to get our plows up and running. Fill it up with plows for now. Alright, at long last, our first farm is done, with our next one following behind it. So I'm going to show you guys what we do with the farm equipment now. It's a little bit different. I got a little bit different ratio. What I do is I have one combine for every 2 medium fields or 1 large field. So in this case we have 14 medium fields, so we're going to have 7 combines. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I always take the tractors and add 1 to that. So 8 tractors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the rest is just covered hauls. And that's it. And while I got you guys here, whoopsie, we're going to start our first our first cistern grabbing fertilizer. Our tank is finished, so he is going to do that. He's going to go load fertilizer at the customs house and then unload it at that giant fuel storage. And then that's pretty much it until next year when we start harvesting our crops. So unfortunately our railroad tracks are taking longer than I'd like to get finished. I'm a little bit worried about how long this is going to take. Regardless though, we can have our crops just hang out here, waiting to be sold while we finish the railroad track. But before I forget, what I want to do is set up power, because this tank here needs power in order to work, so the train won't get fueled if there's no power, and the train no go, and then we'll be sad. So we're going to remedy that now. First thing I'm going to do is we are going to get a large transformer. There's first snow, and then we're going to get our power lines. Easy, they can just pretty much go over everything. Whoops, where's my milk? There it is. And we can connect that. No problemo. Now we're going to set up our medium voltage switches. So we're just going to put up a series of medium voltage switches along the road here. Now we're going to connect those wires. And the reason I've got to open one here is for our eventual utility area. Well, I guess I can always just have one coming off here. Either way, it's good to have an open spot. Pull in here, connect all our switches. And then next, we're going to put a series of substations. One here. And then we'll have another one powering all of our major buildings. Put that one right there. Nice and central. And then to our electric substations, we're just going to connect it with underground wires. So there. And a longer one going out there. Okay, and that is our power. We can get that going. And yeah, the skeleton of our power is now set up. Okay, so before I forget, I'm going to do this too. Now that we have our farms finished, I'm going to make sure I distribute our fields evenly. This one has automatically 12 assigned to it, so I'm just going to put 2 more. And then we're going to go over here, and as you can see, this one has not automatically assigned a lot of them, but that's because we still have a few that are needing to finish their road connections. Okay, so once those get done, I'll make sure to connect them up to the farm. Obviously, we have lots of time. We're in the middle of winter right now. So we are swimming along here. We now have our first fields plowed, fertilized, and being harvested right now. And because we've done all the work in making sure all of our fields are properly moused, everything should be a-okay. And in addition, you can see we've got all of our roads completely gravelized. And this is going to make a huge difference when harvesting, because this will allow our trucks to move a lot faster, and it makes a huge difference. Other than that, I haven't been doing anything. We have just been letting this build for the most part. Our glorious bridge is underway, but still not quite done. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we are going to set out our utilities area, and as I said before, we're going to put it in over here. So we need a heating. So first we need a heating plant. I still refuse to trust small heating plants. They have screwed me over more than enough times in this game for me to distrust them greatly. So I'm just trying to decide what is going to be the best place to fit this. I think we're going to put it right here. It's going to be a little tight. Hopefully we can get our pipes out and around. And then from there, we're also going to build a little aggregate storage. And that's where we're going to keep our coal ready to go for the winter. Just need a small one. We don't need a big one. So that is going to be our heating area. I just want to, before I commit to this, just make sure I can bring heating pipes in and around. That will do, of course, the underground heating pipes, because that ensures that you lose less energy that way. We are also going to put a vehicle maintenance facility. This isn't going to be something we end up doing much with right away. It's just something to have down the road, because as we continue to build up our city, our vehicles are going to continue to experience wear and tear. And if we aren't ready for the moment they start breaking down, it's going to be a bad time. Then lastly, we'll put a bus stop here and let everybody be able to get in and out easily. And while I'm here, I may as well build out the electricity. And just put a little substation right here. That'll power everything. And then we can connect it here. And then we can connect it here on the ground. Perfect. Okay, and this is going to be our initial utility area. One thing we're going to add eventually is a dump. Unfortunately, because we have such limited funds, we're going to have to hold off on that until a little bit later. It's pretty easy to export your trash right out of the customs house, but eventually you're going to need to burn your own trash at some point. Hooray! Our big, beautiful bridge is finally complete, and people can make the round trip over the connections while having to go all the way around and make a detour. Very nice. The pride and joy of our republic is finished. And now we need to decide where the people are going to live. And the main thing is as I mentioned before, is I don't want to get everybody too close to the pollution, right? This should be good. So we got to make it at least like, there we go. Yeah, okay. I think the bend right here around the lake is going to be perfect. Let me just make sure that it looks like we're way more than 1,000 meters away. Yeah, we're good. They have to go maybe around here. Yeah, we are going to be good with our distances here. So for our residential district, it's going to be very similar as the last time. However, this time I have a thought outside the box, as you're going to discover. I got some real non-linear thinking here, and it may or may not blow your mind. So first off, we're going to go up by 300 meters. Okay, good. Just a little bit further than 300 meters, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. Nothing in our republic needs to be perfect. Look at that beautiful, slightly lopsided square. In any case, let me show you guys the huge evolution we're going to do here. Watch this. Holy crap. Holy crap. And we're not even done. Dear sweet Jesus Christ, look at this. Look at this. Oh my god, there's an X in the box now. And rather than, I had this like square in the center that was the bus stop that everybody would congregate on. I found that to be, I mean, it's nice and centralized, but I really like this design. I like having kind of a crossroad go right through the city. It makes getting, or the rather micro district that we're going to build here, it makes getting all the supplies in much more efficient. And rather than having one bus stop, what I do now instead is I have, well, I guess it's going to be platforms here. We have 2 platforms. They don't need to be very big. Yeah, we'll do the small ones. One on this side of town, and one this side of town. And that's it. And that will allow things to move a little bit smoother than they did before. Well, I'm not going to build over those. I wish I'd made a little bit of space, but that's okay. We'll just go like this. We'll create a nice little area here. Not sure what I'll end up using it for. Mainly probably just to put periphery buildings and whatnot. But this will allow us to very easily extend and expand with more micro districts as necessary. I just want to check in how our crops are doing. We now have almost 3,000 tons of crops, and it looks like we're going to easily get all of our fields harvested. So we can comfortably add in a couple more, but we'll do that later. In the meantime, we're going to start work on this residential area. We're just going to extend these roads a little bit. I'm going to end the double road here. And then just to have it, there's really no... I probably won't end up using it, but I'm here now, and it doesn't cost me any money. So I'm going to build a quick pathway to the additional custom house up here. But first thing is first, we are going to need water. But before I forget to, the tracks themselves are coming along. We are almost done, and if we don't get them done this year, it's not a big deal because our crops are safely in the grain storage, so they will be nice and snug in there. Just so long as you get them off the fields, you'll be okay. So let's do water first. I'm going to set this down to 1 speed because I don't need it. 2 speed, but I do want to keep things moving. I don't want to pause it. Okay, water it's the exact same as before. There's really no difference to the way I do the water system. So 1, 2, 3 here, and then they go into a large pump. And I always do big water pipes because I hate having to expand them, and it's, to me, worth the additional investment. So all of that is going to get pumped into a water treatment station, a small water treatment station here. You know what, I'm going to have the road come out this way so the trucks won't have to bother traipsing through the city, and then we'll have that ring around into here. The thing you want to remember about water and, you know, making your water move freely throughout the Republic is that you need to have some force behind that water, pushing it forward, pushing it through the pipes, and there's two ways you can do that in this game. The first way is the pump, which is what we're doing here, but I'm going to show you the second way, which is gravity. We're going to build a large water tower here, and we're going to need a small pipe, and we're going to need a small pump to pump the water up into our large water tower. So connect those nice and easy. And then our clean water will congregate up here in the large water tower, and then the force of gravity pushing down on the water tower, pushing down on all that water that's accumulated at the top here, will create enough force and pressure to push our water through the pipes. And another thing, just remember, make sure you're connecting all of these with pathways. People had some questions in the last run. They were having trouble getting their goods and workers to come out to some of these smaller buildings and whatnot. And you still have to connect these to a road somehow. Even if they don't have a road connection, just connecting them with a footpath will allow your vehicles to drive along the footpath and deliver the cargo to where it needs to go. So with that, we can pretty much be A-okay with the initial groundwork for our water. And then from there, we're going to lay out a series of water switches to make moving our water around simple and easy. So the first will go here, and that's going to bring water out to here. And then we're going to need another one. Yeah, we're going to have we'll have another one right here, and this will help us extend water this way if we need it. We're going to have another one here, and this will bring water to our workstation, and then we're going to have to build another one out here to bring water to our other work section. And then we'll just set those pipes going through. I like to follow the city skyline model, which is keep your power, your plumbing, and all that good stuff along your main road. It just makes your life a lot easier. That connects to everything. And then in our very center of the town, we'll put a water substation. Just have it connect to the switch there. Now, beautiful. That will be connected to water. We are now sitting pretty for water. We just have to let our boys finish building that. All right, next for our people, they are going to need a pooper, or at least a place to take all the poop away from where they are. Because I don't know if you guys know this, being around poop for an extended period of time, pretty uncomfortable. So let us do the same method. I just love the poop pit. Can't go wrong with the poop pit. It's an infallible method of dealing with the sewage. So what we're going to do is just dig a giant pit here, just keep digging down until we get to the point where we have found water, and then we are going to build a sewage output there. So here it is, the glorious poop pit, and as you can see, it's nice and shallow, perfect for our needs. We are going to have to get our boy here. Whoa, oh no. Yeah, unfortunately it can be a little finicky because you got to get all the spouts in water. So, I still have a spot there. Oh, there we go. And again, we're going to have to build out to it. I think they have a footpath, right? Yes, they do. Footpath there. So there's our poop pit. And now we're going to need to do a similar thing with our sewage pipes. So let's go underground here. And one of the things that is different from the last time is because I've done a lot of flattening out. The thing about poop is, right, it follows a different direction than water. Shit always rolls downhill, so you need to have the capability for your poop to continually go downhill. And because we flatten things out a lot, we're probably going to have to use we're probably going to have to use pumps to get it done. And I'll show you what that looks like here. But in the meantime, let's set out our switches so we can... I'm going to keep it on the outside just so I don't get it confused with the other one right now. And then we can have our sewage, our other sewage switch. The next door. And we're going to have to do the same thing here with this one, which is that we need a cistern and we're going to need a direct connection. Hopefully we can make that work. And then I think we actually don't need sewage for... Oh, we do, never mind. Let's connect it anyway, just so we can be a swell guys to the people down there, to the people who are working, who need to use the bathroom. Okay, so let's try and connect these, and I can assure you we're probably going to have some problems. Well, first things first, let's have you come out here. Yeah, we can already... Sorry, I realized. And when it comes to your poop switches, you always want the arrow to be pointing towards your poop pit. I've had to redo these a couple times just because I keep getting the exact area where they need to be wrong. I hope that this won't be too tight. You know what? I'm gonna leave this here actually. I think it's gonna be okay. And then we'll have the last one. Oh, somewhere up here. Alright, sewage tank. Okay, and for sewage tank, we only need medium pipes this time. We can get away with that. So now we're going to try and connect this son of a bitch together. And, oh boy. You know, I'm a little worried about it. Always want it to be pointing towards the poop pit. Don't ever forget that. The guiding star for your sewage switches. Lastly, get down there into the poop pit. Okay, oops, I forgot to put down the sewage tank for our main city here. Just put it right across from our water tank. I actually think we're going to get pretty lucky. Nope, just when I thought we were going to get away with no pumps. Looks like we will not be that lucky. I'll have to work on that. Alright, so I only got away with 2 pumps, thankfully. I broke off this sewage section into kind of its own thing here. Moved the switch down here so I could have the cistern and whatnot connect to it. Then I moved it around, and then because we didn't have enough of a slope here to connect it with the main body, with the main pipeline, I just had to use 2 pumps. A 10-meter one and a 5-meter one to ensure that I could get what I needed and get the poop to where it needs to go. And with that, that will be a beautiful start out. Okay, good. This one is awesome, and both of these are already connected or will already be connected to electricity. So that is our basic sewage and water system. Now let's go to the last utility. That's going to be heating, and we already pretty much have that set up, but we're going to finish it pretty quickly here. We're going to put down a heat exchanger, and we're going to take our underground pipes, Oops, let's actually be able to see our underground pipes. Crap. No. Okay, good. I didn't want to delete any of those other ones. Okay, good. We can go right over that. Won't be a problem. And come around. Oh, crap. It's going to be too long. Too long. Too long. Ah, damn. Oh, well. We'll have to use a heat pumping station. That's okay. We can leave it right here. You know what? We'll put it down here, in fact. Awesome. All right. Now we have a fully underground heating pipe set up. Going to deliver heat exactly to where it needs to go. And these guys are already almost done there. And let me take some time to look at our railroad tracks. Damn. Almost at the point where we can finally get both construction vehicles up and running. Oh, they are at that point. Okay, we got both of them up and running now. So we're on the last legs of our journey. I'm going to let this run a little bit, probably let it run until the end of the year. We're in September right now. Now it looks like we got the entire, the last little bits. Last little bits. But yeah, well, we get, you're going to need just under 4,500 tons of crops. Pretty solid. But right now they got nowhere to go and no place to be. Actually, before I head out, we're pretty much done with the train tracks anyway. Let me purchase our first locomotive. So we're going to have to go with diesel. I like to get this T3 M2 just because it's a pretty decent price and I really like the look of it. I like the blue. So here it comes. The first real train of our train tracks. Okay, now that he is here, we're also going to need to get some carts for him, some wagons for him. And we don't get those from the depot. Instead, as you may imagine, we get these actually from the customs house. So we're going to go to cargo wagon, and we just need a boxcar here. I'm going to get 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we grab our train, and we're going to have him set up a line here. He's going to go to the customs house, and he's going to load all the trains. And then he's going to come back here and do nothing, really. I just want him to get the trains. We only need him to do a single run here. So let's send him off. Off he goes. And he gets them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's going to go right back to the depot. And now he is ready for prime time. Everything is set up for him except the tracks that he actually needs to get from point A to point B. But now he's ready. He's ready to go once our tracks are. So the Comrade Rail is officially done. The last section that is to be built is, well, this is not quite done yet, is the one connecting the grain silo with the warehouse. But now I can finally get our train to grab some of this delicious, delicious crops, to grab some of this delicious wheat that's been sitting here and sell some of it so I can, as you can see, we are running low on money. We're going to have to take out a loan soon, but I want to hold off on that as long as possible. So in the meantime, we are going to get this train moving. So we're going to load them up on grain from the grain house and then unload at the store station. That's it. So with the rail officially done, we're going to start to sell some of our goods here. We're going to have him go here first, and the reason is because to go to the customs house, he will have to go there first and then come over to the grain silo. Oh, yeah, he is going to fuel up here, grab everything he needs, and off he goes. Uh-oh, we're going to have a collision. Don't worry, they just like disappeared. There you go. Oh, no. So he's going to fill up, and we're going to ship that right out here, which is going to be probably about $4,000 or something like that. Just under $4,000. And he's going to take it on over, and we're just going to get rid of this one for now and keep building up our money pile because, like I said, we are running out. But as time goes on, we're going to rely less and less on grabbing our blade from here. This is really just a stopgap to help us get a little bit of money while we continue to build up our republic. But eventually we're just going to have him go right to the warehouse instead and grab everything he needs. To help us build up our necessary structures, as I said, we are going to have to take out money eventually, but I'm going to keep that off for as long as I can. So with our beautiful train running and in action, oh man, we're pretty much done. Oh no, not quite done. Very close to done. And then I can take off all these vehicles that are supplying this. They can all do other things, and the train can just do its thing. But and now we are at the start of a new year, and our tractors are beginning to sow the fields. One of the things which I have done is add 2 more fields, like I said, 2 up here and 2 over here. And hopefully that'll help us get even more yields for the next season. But with everything nice and underway and things are building steadily, it's time to map out our residential district. So at the very center is going to be our medium flats. We're going to use these brick ones here because we don't have prefab. We can build these larger ones, but I feel like they are just too big for what they give you. We could just look, so these give you 157 workers. These ones give you 110, slightly smaller, but they're so much more compact. So at the center of our ring, moving out because we don't need any we don't need any roads, we are going to have 8 blocks of housing. All right, so now we got another, so we got our excavator back doing this thing. So there again, nice and close. And then 2 more, and we all done. Before I forget, let's. There are a couple here that didn't get attached, so let's just attach those. Okay. Now we have a nice little residential block. So for some of the first things that we want to need, we're going to need a shopping center. And this one right here is the perfect one, and it will need to be connected to a road. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't really squeeze this way in. Oh, we can squeeze it in here. So that gets our food, gets our meat and our clothing, and should get our electronics too. Yeah, so it gets our electronics too. Next, we're going to build a little pub. Go out and do one of it needs a road connection so we can get these. And then we are not going to give them a cinema because it's too expensive and too large. So they're going to have to make do with a house of culture. What the hell a house of culture is? I don't know. I mean, I guess you just like go there, and I guess it's kind of like a museum. You learn about your history, but it's not quite the same as a cinema. Just to make sure they can all reach that shit. Yeah, they can all reach that shit. And then next, we're going to need It's tough not to go with a full hospital. They have added, since we last played, they have these little small clinics, and you know, they just suck. They just suck. And it's very tempting to go for it because it's so much smaller and it fits right in there, but it's just garbage. It's just full of garbage. So I'm going to build a large hospital, and we're going to build it here. So I'm going to have to be a little crossing here, just to make sure that we can get everybody to the hospital. Now everybody can get there. So next we're going to build an indoor pool so people have somewhere to go during the winter months. And then next we're going to get some universities. Very important to get, because if we don't get them, we can't research a lot of important technologies. So first is first, we're going to get a small communist headquarters. And then we're going to get the small technical university. This one is one of the harder ones to fit in. I think we got enough space probably down here. Yeah, we do. And then we are also going to have to get some kindergartens, so the kids can go to school. And then we're going to have to get a big old regular school. Okay, so now they got the preschool, and they got the grade school, and they got universities. We're going to have to build a few small trash containers so people will have places they can throw out their garbage. Next, we're going to get some beautiful statues. We're going to get some perfect statues of Lenin here. He's got to sit in
the center of town and leer at people. Make sure they stay in line. And then I'll put maybe one Eternal Flame or some shit over here if I can. Beautiful. And then we can put a couple of sports fields. They got a bunch of new sports fields, which is great. So they're not just, we'll put down a football field if we can. This looks like the perfect spot if I could fit it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How about tennis court too? Actually, you know what? They had tennis court last time. Oh, basketball and volleyball court. Wow, so fancy, guys. And then our emergency services. So we are going to want to make sure that we get a fire station. Put that one right here. And then we need a police station. We'll go with the small one here. We don't need a giant police station. And I'll put it up here alongside the... Yeah, I'll put it alongside the hospital. And then they also need a courthouse. I'll put a small courthouse in here. Fortunately, we can fit it down here. And then last, we are going to go with a jail. Last time I put the jail all the way over here, and it was not very efficient. It's unfortunately going to stick with everybody. So the jail is just going to fit right in. It's going to fit right in with the rest of the population that's going to go right beside the police station. And that should be everything our people need. Last pieces of the puzzle. We fortunately get a free distribution office. So I'm going to put down a few of those. And I'm also, while I'm up here, going to put down a couple technical offices. One is going to be for more snowplows, and the other is going to be for garbage collection. And that's it. The only things I might need to fill out, I might need to put some more garbages in here. I might need to double check and make sure everybody can get to where they need to. Like I can see, you can't get to the Communist Party headquarters. Easy fix. We'll just... I said it's an easy... There we go, okay. And there we go. Now I should be able to get there. And you guys can get there too, right? Yeah, and there's another one that can't get to right here. So that is the gist of our residential area. Fortunately, I have a little bit of space here. There are some pockets here I can add some additional structures if I need to. But this will have everything contained within their little area. So with this now laid out, we pretty much have all of our opening moves done. It's now just the excruciating weight of getting everything we need to built so we can actually start to move people into our republic. So as things continue, I'm going to start to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row. And if there's anything that I miss before we start to bring in people, I'll show it to you guys. But overall, I think we're laughing here. Okay, unfortunately, we have reached the limit of our financial reserves. And I was really hoping not to have to do this until I brought people in, which is going to hopefully happen next year. Once our construction gets completed, but I don't have a choice. We're down to the last 16,000 rubles, and I want to keep the wheels moving. So you can take out loans in the game. That's pretty simple. All you have to do here is you go to our economy and trade, and then we go here to a loan. We're going to take out rubles. We're going to go maximum duration, and we're going to go maximum amount of money. I don't want to take out any more loans than I have to. And I only want to do this one time because I don't want to take out a bunch of small loans because you can end up drowning in interest that way. So we'll keep it one and done, borrow the money, and there it is. More money than we started the game with. But of course, this money isn't free. We will have to pay it back. But it won't be a problem though, as our setup will be able to more than pay off what we've taken out. So once again, another winter is behind us, and our tractors are out plowing the fields. When we look over to our residential area, we can see things are coming along nicely. I want to have everything in place before I build the apartments. The main thing that's holding me back right now is the water system. The water system is lagging behind, and I can't bring anybody in until that's done. So I prioritize that over everything. and hopefully we'll get it done swiftly. I'd really like to bring in people this year. Moving over here, there's something I built and planned while you guys were away, and that is I built a route to NATO. You can see this beautiful dirt path that goes all the way to the NATO border, and I'm not going to be doing any trading with them, but a commenter on my last playthrough gave me this idea. They said that NATO has some pretty good vehicles, and if you just build a bridge over here, you can import them, and that's exactly what we can do now. So now I can finally use these dollars that have been sitting here wasting space. When it comes to our distribution offices, right now I'm going to have one that is going to bring stuff from the industrial plant to the warehouse, another one that brings things from the warehouse to the residential areas, and then lastly, I will also have one that pulls goods from the border as needed and puts them in the warehouse, and or takes them directly to the industries that need them. So let me show you here. We'll just grab, for example, I can, whoops, that's definitely not what I want to do. We can grab some American marquee covered hulls, and these things actually have a pretty sizable capacity. They got more capacity than the ones that we've been using. So let's grab 3 of these. We'll have him take his long journey. Here they come. It's gonna be a while. Right now, it's just rushing to get everything completed so I can bring people in. I really want to bring people in before winter hits. Well, unfortunately, winter is coming, and while we have finished the water network by and large, we just got to finish up this last sewage tank. Unfortunately, the apartments aren't done. So I'm going to build these up. If people have to come in during the winter, that's okay. We do have all of our heating set up. We have everything set up, so we should be okay on that front. One of the things I've already started doing is putting coal here. I'll probably stop this guy pretty quick. Probably once we get to 300 tons of coal, that should be enough. But we're all set for the winter. So unfortunately I wasn't able to reach my goal by getting people in for the new year. There's no point in bringing them now. I may as well just wait till the snow melts. So we're just sitting pretty here. Thankfully, everything is absolutely ready for them to go, so we can hit the ground running. So in preparation for people starting to come in, I'm going to assign one of these distribution offices, some of our nice American semis, to get a move on and begin putting the appropriate goods where they need to go. So we just finish our first building here. And the last thing we have to do before we bring people in is we have to limit the staff in all of the buildings in the city here. Because if we don't, then nobody will go outside the city to go to the important industrial tasks. And our first people have arrived. Mainly, I need them to go over here. That's why I had them specifically build and focus on this structure first, so we could bring people in. Okay, good. We got people going to the treatment plant so people can actually drink water. That's very important. So as people roll in here, they are going to start to produce garbage, which takes us to our next technical office here. We're going to need to, at least for now, we're going to get a couple, make sure they're the small container variant garbage trucks. I might get another one if I need to, and then I'll show you what we do once they get here. So now that our garbage trucks are here, all that we have to do is assign them to the customs house, and they will start taking the garbage away. That's all you got to do. They'll automatically grab it from the various buildings, and then they'll take it to the customs house. And there he goes. Good for him. In the meantime, we are slowly but surely getting our city underway here, making sure that everybody can get what they need. I am worried about doctors here, though. As you can see, we have sick people not being able to get the treatment they need, and that's because we don't have the experts that we need. In the meantime, though, let us set our researches. I want to get logistics optimization in the Communist headquarters, and I want chemistry in the technical university. So now that we have people finally congregating at our bus stations, we can get to work, get them to work at least. And they can start the process of and they can eventually start the process of refining all of this wheat that we have accumulated, because we are starting to get to the point where we really need money. It's our loan is pretty much used up and coming up due, so we got to make sure that we have some actual goods to show for it. So some of our beasts of burden have taken some serious wear and tear during the construction of our republic, so they're finally getting the love they need now that we have workers. We have these vehicles going out and repairing everyone that needs repairing, and it's very nice to get things running smoothly again. So things are running extremely smoothly right now. People are getting to where they need to go. We've got a few monuments being wrapped up here, and we're just about finished with the last sections of the industrial area. We still have to finish the livestock farm, and I got people working at the slaughterhouse, even though there's nothing to slaughter. But other than that, everything is just going peachy smooth. We're starting to fill up this warehouse right here, and over time what's going to happen is that anything that isn't shipped off into the main city here, you can see, they probably need some food. Okay, it looks like someone's getting the food. But anything that doesn't get shipped off there, we're going to put on the train and send off to the customs house. So our setup continues to run smooth as butter. We are, as you hear all the cows mooing, it's kind of distracting. Let's move over here. Get it? Move. Man, that's what you get when you're a dad. Just jokes get lamer and lamer every day. Regardless, so we can see the people are getting happier. Our health and lifespan are increasing, which are all great signs. The only thing I am worried about is our ever diminishing amount of money. We're slowly building up our warehouse here. I'm gonna wait until I have like one big ass shipment and then send it out, basically. We've got all of our distribution networks lined together here. I've got a meat storage here. This is obviously storing a crap ton of our meat, and this is also probably going to be a pretty big cash cow for us. Unfortunately, you can't connect the meat storage to the warehouse directly in a way like this that'll load onto the train. You have to have a train loading platform to do that, but it's not a big deal because I have one of these big beefy American refrigerated trucks that I brought over from NATO, so they can easily send any excess meat to the border and sell it. But as you can see, our industrial factory is doing very, very well. We're in the middle of harvesting season, so we're getting a ton of grain put in right now. I'm wondering if I'll send out the train to sell some. I'm not sure yet. I like to have a pretty sizable reserve here because the grain is worth a whole lot more when it's turned into meat, or it's turned into clothes, or alcohol, or whatever else. So one more thing we'll need, unfortunately, is we're going to need a big garbage truck. And this one is going to basically grab everything from our main industrial sectors here. As you can see, I've unfortunately waited too long. Now I've got a large... right next to the distillery, I've got a bunch of waste. Looks like everywhere else is good though, but the livestock farm is filling up pretty quick. So we'll get that dealt with. Same system as the other waste, you just have everybody, you just have your assigned technical office go to the customs house and it'll dump all the waste where it needs to go. Alright, so he's going to take everything he can get. It's okay, we'll refill the warehouse fairly shortly. Unfortunately, it's nowhere near as much as I was hoping. So we're going to have to work pretty hard to pay off that debt. Though it didn't let me load up the crops for some reason. Whatever. It's okay. Everything will get refilled shortly. Well, at least that will stop the loan sharks from breathing down our neck for a little while. But I think we'll be okay. We can just keep up this production rate. So we are back in the middle of winter trying to keep everything chugging along. The main thing that I'm concerned about is our loans. We're
starting to slowly deplete our cash reserves, and we are getting to the point where we still have a lot of money to pay back, but it's not as bad as it seems. We'll just do a little bit of number crunching. So we end up paying about 40,000 rubles on our loan, with 4.6 thousand going to interest, so about 36,000 paid down per month, leaving us, on average, we end up exporting about $30,000 worth of goods. So that leaves us roughly 10 G's in the hole every month. Looking at our loan ruble rate, you can see we still owe 1.1 million rubles back, but it's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I did some number crunching, and even though it looks like we're getting pretty close with our finances, by the time I run out of money, I'm only going to owe about 7,000 to 6,000 rubles if I keep things up at this rate. So what will happen is that when I get to around 50,000, I'll do another assessment, and then I might take another small loan out just to cover myself. Take about 500,000 rubles out and stretch that out over 5 years, or the maximum that I possibly can, and I kind of use that to float my debt payments. And eventually, everything will balance itself out. The budget will balance itself. Trust me on this one. I've done the math. So I will consider this playthrough officially ended once we paid off our entire loan and we are sitting clean and pretty. We're ready to move into the future. In the meantime, though, I'm going to grab a couple buses because I think I can squeeze more workers into my factories and therefore make more money. So we'll be back once our loans get a little bit closer to the point where we're going to be forced to pay them off. In the meantime, what I do is every month I vacate the storehouse. I send the train out. I send the train out to do its thing. And then that goes into our daily profit pool. Another thing I've done is because I can't get the meat basically onto the train with this setup, is that the only goods we're sending to the border with trucks are our meat goods. Every so often, the refrigerated trucks, I got two of them, two of the big ones I imported from the United States. They come in and they export their meat to the border, and that's quite a nice cash cow for us, pun intended. So our train is loaded up, and he is delivering this month's, well, I guess it's a little bit late. We missed this month because we're in the middle of February, but it was about $35,000, which is pretty typical, pretty average for what we're pulling in a month. And then he gets to go back to his depot and wait till the end of the next month. So our Communist Party headquarters just finished the distribution office. I'm very happy about this, although I don't really need to use it yet. I'm going to save up for a little bit and see what my financial situation looks like before I decide to spend on that. But for now, I'm going to go into fire prevention, and then hopefully my other research gets done here quickly. Alright, so we are getting to the bottom of the barrel here. And we have managed to research chemistry, which is going to be a huge boon for us. So we are going to now extend the loan. It's near the end of 1969, and we owe the grand total of 799,000 rubles. So, I mean, it's still quite a substantial debt, and we are going to take on more. But by extending this over a 5-year duration, this will help keep us above water. And like I said, we're not going to stop this playthrough until I pay back all of this money, so I can confirm that this officially is the best and working setup. And I can always try and do, there's certainly a case to be made that I could go like the full capitalist method and just keep borrowing and spending, and hopefully the amount of money that I make will outgrow the amount of money that I spend. But we're not going to go so aggressive in our borrowing strategy. We're going to take another 600,000 over 5 years, and we're going to borrow that right now. Now that we've managed to finish our chemical plant, we're going to take some of that money and we're going to build a new chemical plant and ensure that we can now create our own chemicals, and this will help us not only spend less money, because our chemical imports are one of our biggest expenses per month. This will help us turn some of those imports into exports and make further money. So we've got two chemical plants here. We got one gigantic one. We don't need such an elaborate setup. Instead, we're going to go with a basic chemical plant, and of course it needs to make sure that it gets some output from the granary here. And I want to see if I can get that fuel tank. Maybe I can get a small one in here. That would be nice. So in order to produce chemicals, we need gravel, crops, wood, and oil. But in the Communist Party headquarters, rather than continuing our research program, I have turned to education, because I want to get more experts in our republic. And one thing you can do to do this is click prefer students according to education. So this will prefer the higher educated students. They need a level of 2 in order to get higher education. So these guys still got a ways to go to get there, as you can see. But what will happen is the people who are higher up on that list will get into class first, and this will allow you to then produce more elite, high educated workers faster. So in our, we're up to 59 now, which is great, because 2 months ago it was 57. So slowly but surely we're getting more experts, and over time this will kind of snowball, right? As you get more of them, more can become teachers, and then your education can grow, and so on and so forth. One nice thing is that now I no longer have to rely on foreign laborers to get my construction done. Our own citizens can now do it all themselves. And last thing about the setup is I was able to squeeze in a pedestrian overpass, and this will allow all the workers to be able to get there from just one bus stop. So I don't have to build any more bus stops, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. So now that we're bringing in the chemical plant, I am going to put in the small distribution office. We finished the research off screen, and I am now going to put it to work. Put it right down here beside the gas station. So our beautiful chemical plant is finally done. Well, the sewage pipe isn't done yet, but we got people in there working, and hopefully it gets done before the pollution gets too much and overwhelms everybody. But once that's done, that'll be a huge, that'll just be such a huge step forward for the Republic. Building our own chemicals, well, I guess manufacturing, whatever the hell you do to chemicals, just doing that by ourselves, it saves us so much, and it will hopefully give us such a leg up, because now we don't have to import it for our clothing, to make the fabric, that is. We don't have to import it to make the fabric. We don't have to import it to purify our water. We can do it all ourselves. So it's already set up to our distribution office, so hopefully we can get that going and we won't have to worry about it anymore. So we're slowly battling our debt. We're not exporting a lot of chemicals because they are just barely covering the needs of our own production. But like I said, just us not having to import them is a huge, huge benefit. And another thing I've had to do is this here small distribution office that I built is pretty much entirely dedicated just to keeping that chemical plant running and getting it the resources it needs. But we have had the issue of homelessness sprout up. Now we have 33 people that were originally homeless because all of our flats are completely packed, and I haven't had to invite any more citizens or anything like that. This is just natural births. So we are having to build residential areas just to keep up with our population growth. It is a good thing, even though it costs me money to build these. The fact that I'm not spending any money to import the citizens, plus we're getting to the point where we're actually having population growth and needing additional housing, means that we're going to have more workers, which is more money and all that good stuff. And another thing, the program to educate more of our own experts is going very well. We're up to now almost 100 experts from 57. We've got 86, and they are now nearly 10% of the population, where they used to be only 6% of the population. So things are looking very good for our Republic. We just need to pay off our debt and we'll be sitting pretty. So in August now, and once again, the harvest is in full swing. I am just noticing that we are starting to run out of crops. And if that happens, it will be okay, because with our setup, we can just import crops from the customs house and then turn that into more expensive goods. But I don't want to do that unless I absolutely have to. Overall, though, there really isn't too much to say. I'm just sitting back and watching this do its thing. And over time, I'm just going to rake in enough money to pay back our debts, and then we'll be sitting pretty. One thing you'll notice now that the chemical plant is finished is that our import costs are way down. We are importing fertilizer and fuel and power, and that's it. And I guess, electronics, but those are a very infrequent purchase. There we go. We go to last month. It's even less, where we only imported fuel and power. So this will just go such a long way in taking down this debt. Our first debt is almost completely vanquished. With just under a year, we have 500,000 to go. And once we get past that, we are going to be laughing, because that was the bulk of the loan we took. That was the 2 million ruble loan we took. As you can see, we've got 1,771,000 paid. So it's almost done. And once we get that done, this other smaller loan will be much more manageable. It's only like 10,000 rubles a month or something like that. And hopefully we can even accrue enough money that we can pay it back early. So once again, we're at the edge of our payment limit here. And on our main loan, we still have 143 days to go, totaling just under 190,000 rubles. What we're going to do to solve this problem is we're just going to take that last 200,000 and we're going to float it over 5 years. No problem at all. And trust everyone, this will work out. Don't worry, just trust. So I can't sit here and keep staring at this loan now that I have enough to repay the big 2 million ruble loan. I'm absolutely going to do that. Hooray! Wiped it out. And now that we finally paid off that large loan, we are pretty much in the clear. Instead of owing previously where we were paying about 50,000 rubles a month, now we're down to 13,000. A much more manageable number. In fact, we'll be able to cover this every month and then some, so we can finally actually start making some money. We're now at the point where we have enough experts that we can pretty much man the hospital constantly and have everybody treated all the time. So our health is going through the roof, and we have more than enough goods to make sure that everybody is completely satisfied. The only thing is that sometimes during the winter, the snow can disrupt things a little bit, but during summer, like right now, everything is fine. But the point here is that the people are happy, the people are getting along, and the people, most importantly, are healthy. You can see here that they are exposed to 1% pollution. I'm assuming that's this right here. Yeah, the sewage tank. I probably should have moved it a little bit further away, but that's okay. Everyone else is A-okay. It could be a lot worse than 1%, so everything else is absolutely A-okay, and our health is continually rising. For the very first time last month, our republic finally, after paying all of its loans, made more money than it spent. Hooray! It is actually a pretty substantial milestone, and from here, it's just smooth sailing until we repay all of our loans. Alright, my dear comrades, it's time. It's time to finally wrap this guide up. I have been working on this for an embarrassingly long amount of time, and we finally have enough money to clear all of our loans, so I'm going to do that right away here. Nice, and our republic is now completely loan-free, and that will mark the end of this initial startup, as our republic is well poised to move into the 1970s with a very strong backbone and plenty of options for expansion. So just a couple things here. One of the things I would do differently, and by the way, you can see that in my free time while I've been accumulating enough money to get rid of these loans. I've just been paving some of the roads to give us finally the very luxury experience of having paved roads, at least on the main roads, because yeah, it just is going to make things move a little bit smoother. And we're getting to the point where as the 70s start to approach, you can access cars which can go faster and actually make more use of these paved roads. Another thing I've done is I have researched my pre-constructed panels, my prefabricated panels, and luxury housing, and this has allowed me to build a few more luxury houses and bigger houses. Particularly, we can see here, these poor people got completely screwed with this new housing complex. Destroys their view, and now that's all they can see. But that being said, this houses 210 workers, which is fantastic. And I'm also building a nice luxury condo here. That's almost done. So things continue to look very well. There we go. We're getting homeless people kind of starting to pile up. So time to take care of that. So let's go over some of our stats here. Oh, Jesus, I just noticed. Fuck. That by us paying back all of our money, we now have no money. But that's okay. I should have enough to get a good shipment out here. Let's get a good shipment out. Well, that's slightly annoying. Here I was thinking that we would be able to pay this back right away. But that's not the case, really. So I don't want to have electricity problems. We're just going to get that shipment sent there and back so I can clear that loan and not worry about it. Okay, so we just dumped 40 grand worth of goods off at the border. That should just let us return that money, get rid of it. And now we are, once again, sitting pretty. And this time we have enough of a buffer that it's not like everything's going to fall apart. And we'll end up with no money before we have our next shipment ready to go to the border. So, just a couple things here. I want to talk a little bit before we wrap up. A few of the things I would do differently. One of the things I would be doing differently right now, if I wasn't moving towards the end stage here, is I would have long ago, rather than trying to build out more houses in my little district here, I would move to the next one. What I would probably have done is, as you can see in our actual loan pile, now we can take out 3.5 million ruples in loans. I probably wouldn't take out that much, but my goal would have been to take out an additional loan once I finished paying off the major ones. And then what would happen is I would then use another loan to start expanding the city, building more residential area, building more industry, all of that good stuff. So I've been stagnating really for the past 4 years, just kind of waiting to pay off that loan, because this is kind of like an artificial ending to this city right now. If I didn't have that artificial ending, I would have taken out loans and continued to expand. One of the other things that I realized I did during my playthrough is that I built small pipes instead of large pipes, and thankfully it worked out for me. Small pipes have a capacity of 21 meters squared, and we're pretty much getting there with what we have now. As you can see, per day, we're already reaching 21 meters squared on a pretty frequent basis. So I would have rather, instead of building the large pipes or the small pipes, probably have ended up going with the medium ones, as they would have been able to take care of all of my needs. But other than that, I am extremely happy with this build. I'm extremely happy with how everything has turned out. I mean, we have 1% unemployment, and that is basically because there's no workspace for 13 people. They can't find a workspace. I don't know why. And then, of course, we have 4 prisoners. We've now ballooned up to about 2,000 people, and we have now almost 200 exports, which is equivalent to about 13% of the population. Our health is fantastic. We're almost at 90%. I was hoping to have it at 90% by the end of this playthrough, but that's a shame. They got all the food they need. They got all the sports enjoyment they need. Alcohol addiction's not that bad. We're still stuck at 1% pollution, but that's nothing to worry about. And everyone can visit the doctor except for one guy for some reason. He can't find the way there, poor guy. But Then we move over to happiness, and wow, we lost people with a TV. It was at 59% last time I checked. Now it is down to 57% have a television, but still, that's pretty dang good. I looked it up to see what percentage of Americans had a TV in 1969. It was 79%, so that's only about 10 points less than Americans would at this time, and I think that's pretty good for a Soviet republic that is kind of distantly locked off from large sections of the world. Overall, though, I'm extremely happy with how we ended off here. We ended off debt-free with plenty of incoming resources and money to make things good for us into the future, and we have a very stable workforce. We have a very happy workforce. We have a very healthy workforce, and they have the capacity to build all kinds of wonderful goods for a republic, which we can then sell for more money. So I really hope you found this interesting. I really hope you found this valuable. This has been a lot of work to put this video together. And at the end of the day, if you've stuck around this long, I really want to thank you guys for watching. This has been the Comrade, signing off for now. And one thing I will say is that the amount of time that it took me to put this video together has made me seriously reconsider some of the formats and styling to some of my videos, because I desperately want to get out more content faster, and this is not the way. But that being said, I hope you get a lot of information, and I hope you get a lot of value out of this guide. And until next time, this is the Comrade signing off. You guys take care.